Rams, well, they're the team everyone is chasing as the reigning Super Bowl champs. Who can top LA in the conference? Well, here's a look at the odds to win the NFC this season. Buccaneers there, the favorite at plus 350, followed closely behind Super Bowl champion Rams and the Green Bay Packers, followed closely behind by the San Francisco 49ers. Bringing in now our NFL expert Ryan Wilson to look ahead to the NFC this season. Now the Rams, they're the best in the NFC West, their conference and the league, as they are the defending Super Bowl champions. Ryan, looking at just the West, who jumps out to you as your pick to win this division?
Well, first things first, Sherry, good to talk to you. Haven't seen you in a while. I've been on vacation, but congratulations to you.
Thank you.
New face of the sideline, CBS Sports Network. That is huge news. I came back to that, so that was nice. I didn't get a promotion, but maybe I will. Fingers crossed. Yeah, in terms of the Rams, they're coming off a pretty good stretch as well. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford said recently that there's so much more that he knows now than he knew previously, and I think that's a great sign for a team that doesn't care much about draft picks and seems to build through free agency, and it's worked for them certainly in the short term, and I think that's why they're the favorite to again win that division. The other teams in that division starts with Arizona probably and Kyler Murray, who looks like he'll be getting a deal soon. Do they have enough around him? They'll be without Dre Hopkins for the first 6 games as we sit here. We know that Arizona starts strong, but then typically fades down the stretch under Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. Then you have San Francisco. Jimmy G appears to be out of the plans. They'll roll with Trey Lance. There's a lot to like offensively there, but the quarterback situation certainly has to be one that works. And then in Seattle, who is the quarterback? Geno Smith, Drew Lock, or is it going to be someone else? Baker Mayfield is now out of the picture. Maybe Jimmy G ends up there, but there's so many questions in Seattle in an incredibly tough division. I feel like the Rams have to be the favorites to sit here. Not particularly sexy or interesting, but I think it makes the most sense.
What was the phrase they were chanting at the parade? Run it back. They're going to be trying to do that there. Now let's look at the NFC East, where a team has not gone back-to-back division winners since the Eagles in 2004. Ryan, do you remember that Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb, that duo there? The Cowboys, they were the best in the NFC East this past season. So knowing the history of this division, are you willing to go with someone else besides Dallas to be on top?
Yeah, I think on paper, Sherry, Dallas is the best team, but my biggest concern remains the concern that it was a year ago. Head coach Mike McCarthy, now I know he's changed since his time in Green Bay. He's talked about that. He's become a little more open-minded in terms of the play calling. That last play that ended the season for Dallas on that long run by Dak Prescott still sticks with me. I'm sure it sticks with Cowboys fans, and that's why I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. So again, the streak continues. A team doesn't win back-to-back titles in NFC East, going back to that team you mentioned in 2004 with the Eagles. So the Eagles this time win it as far as I'm concerned, sitting here having this conversation. Again, Jalen Hurts is going to be the biggest key to any success that offense has. He made strides last year. I think Nick Sirianni, the coach, now going into his second year, figured out that you don't need to throw the ball 50 times a game with Jalen Hurts. You can mix things up. They had Devontae Smith, their first-round draft pick from a year ago. This year's first-round draft pick turned into a trade in A.J. Brown. So they have another weapon there offensively. Then they have Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, the 2 star standouts from Georgia that are going to join that defense. And I think if you look at this team from top to bottom, they're incredibly strong. The offensive line is really good. The defense is going to be better, younger, faster, stronger. Jalen Hurts has to play up to his potential. I think if they do that, they'll have a really good chance in that division where, if we're being honest, Dak Prescott is the best quarterback, but I do wonder about the pieces around him, including some of the players they lost in free agency.
All right, let's look at the NFC South, because this feels like a division that Tampa Bay is just going to run away with. Tom Brady comes out of retirement, playing now in his 23rd season. Then you have the Saints with a new coaching staff and Jameis Winston coming off that serious knee injury. Matt Ryan won't be under center for the Falcons for the first time since 2008. In Carolina, trading for Baker Mayfield, he joins Sam Darnold there in that quarterback room. Ryan, when you look at this, which way are you leaning to rule the South?
Yeah, Sherry, conventional wisdom says you don't bet against Tom Brady. Well, I'm going to throw caution to the wind, and I'm going to bet against Tom Brady. It's not an incredibly smart thing to do, but the guy's 75 years old. At some point, he has to take his foot off the gas and perhaps struggle a little bit. So maybe this is the year. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before about Tom Brady. He's certainly used that as motivation, I'm sure, and maybe he does that again. But I think maybe with all I wouldn't call it upheaval, the head coach is gone and Bruce Arians. We know that Gronkowski retired. That doesn't necessarily matter for Tom Brady's success. But I do wonder even though Sean Payton has called it quits for at least a year. We'll see if he comes back next year. He probably will. Whether the Saints can do something that they haven't been able to do in a few years, and that makes some noise. Jameis Winston was on one of his best starts of his career before he tore his ACL in late October. They have Chris Olave, who they drafted. They bolstered the offensive line with Trevor Penning after losing their offensive lineman to Miami, so that'll be something to watch here. But they have Alvin Kamara. Mike Thomas should be back, and that will be a huge get. And the defense has been pretty good in recent years. Pete Carmichael will be calling the plays. He's been the play caller for quite some time there, so there won't be a drop-off there, even though Sean Payton's no longer there. And I wonder if Jameis Winston comes back. He's never been a mobile quarterback, so I think he'll be fine if he's in the pocket, if he trusts that knee, and plays as like he did before he got injured. And if so, I think the Saints will have a chance. Now, all that said, Tom Brady could come out and play angry and do the things he's usually done, but I just want to mix it up here a little bit, not go straight chalk. So I'm going to go with the Saints as the sneaky favorite, out of nowhere favorite, perhaps is a better way to put it, to win that division.
I know Tom Brady somewhere has a bulletin board with Ryan Wilson bulletin board material. This is on that board. This is his motivation. Well, the last 3 years, it's the Packers running the NFC North. Only 3 times in the last 11 years did Green Bay not win the division. We know Detroit usually in the basement there of the NFC North. But there's such high hopes again for Justin Fields and Kirk Cousins to get them over their respective humps. What say you, Ryan? Who's the NFC North? Who's taking that title?
Yeah, I mean, I basically made the case for Tom Brady and went in the other direction. I'm not going to do that this time with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is back. Even though he lost Devontae Adams, I still think they're the team to beat, in part because there's not a lot of competition. Kirk Cousins is better quarterback than I give him credit for, and I have to acknowledge that. But I do wonder, new coaching staff, new GM there in Minnesota, same situation in Chicago with Justin Fields as they try to fix those things around him. And then Detroit is a team that won 3 games last year. I'm not sure who's going to make the most noise and disrupt the Packers from doing what feels like it's almost inevitable. I think as long as Aaron Rodgers is there, they find a way to get things done. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like in a post-Devontae Adams world. They drafted Christian Watson in the 2nd round. Has a chance to be a really good player, but he ain't going to come out and be Devontae Adams in weeks 1, 2, or even weeks 15 or 16. So you'll lean on Aaron Jones, you'll lean on some of those veterans, and you'll lean, of course, on Aaron Rodgers. But I'd be hard-pressed to come up with a scenario where if Aaron Rodgers is healthy throughout the year, that the Packers don't find a way to win that division.
Well, we have broken down each division so far in the NFC. Tell us who you think is going to get that 1 seed heading into the postseason from the NFC.
Again, not going out on a limb here, but I think it's going to be the Rams, in part because their division doesn't feel that tough as we sit here. And from their perspective, that could change, obviously, as the season gets underway. And the NFC in general doesn't have a lot of tough teams, especially when compared to the AFC. So I think they take care of business in their division. They win the games they need to win. They'll get to 12 or 13, maybe even 14 wins and be in good shape. They have a sense of what it takes, especially Matthew Stafford now, to win tough games in the playoffs. I mean, you go back to that San Francisco game where Jaquiski Tartt dropped that, what was essentially an arm punt, and probably kept the San Francisco 49ers from going to the Super Bowl. The Rams continue to find a way to get things done in January and in February, and I think that helps them as they go into 2022, 2023, and I think they're going to be the team that comes out on top in the NFC to represent that conference in the Super Bowl.
All right, Ryan Wilson there with your NFC preview for this upcoming NFL year. Great stuff as always. And let's get you a look at how Ryan thinks the NFC is going to shake out this year. From the West, he's going with the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Rams. In the East, yes, another new division winner, going with the Eagles. As for the South, betting against Tom Brady, going with the New Orleans Saints. But he is going chalk there, Packers winning the NFC North. And his pick for the NFC winner, the 1 seed, he's going with the LA Rams. Well, time now for the Geico 15-second statement. Ryan, the floor is yours. Tell us what's on your mind.
Well, Sherry, it's not particularly bold to say that a team that didn't make the playoffs last year will make it this year. So I'll go take it a step further. A team that finished in last place in their respective NFC division is going to make the playoffs this year. So who are those teams? Well, they're the Seahawks. They're not going to do it. They don't have a quarterback. The Carolina Panthers, you mentioned Baker Mayfield. Is he going to play? If he does, there's still no one around them. So I think it comes down to the Lions, the 3-win Lions last year, and the Giants, who won 4 games last year. in part because Brian Daboll is now the head coach in New York, and he did amazing things with Josh Allen when they were together in Buffalo. And also, I think the Dan Campbell experiment, I can't wait for year 2 in Detroit. Jared Goff is better than we thought they was. They drafted Jameson Williams, who will help out later in the year. I think one of those two teams makes the playoffs, and I'm going to go crazy here. I think the Lions have a chance. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you sprinkle a little money on that, as we like to say. Maybe the Lions end up in the playoffs when we sit here and revisit this later in the year, late December, early January. And then I look like I'm pretty smart.
There you go. And you just made one fan base very happy. And they need something to cheer for football-wise there in Detroit. Ryan Wilson, we always appreciate the insight, my friend. Great to see you. And get more from Ryan and our guys and our NFL experts on the Pick 6 podcast. Download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Our guys are giving you your daily NFL fix, catching up in 30 minutes on what's trending in the NFL so you are always in the know. Make sure you download and subscribe to Pick 6 podcast today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.